We are here talking about three very different wood chests that you can buy today. The original Gerstner USA chest, the Gerstner International chest, and the one the internet continues to tell us is basically the same thing for less money, the Harbor Freight chest. In front of us is the Gerstner USA 2007, kind of their classic chest. Now this chest has been in production for a very long time, and Gerstner's actually been making chests in the USA since 1906. So 2026 will be their 120th year in business, and they're still making this chest by hand in Dayton, Ohio. Now, when you think of the Gerstner chest, this is kind of what you think of. It is the classic golden oak with the nickel hardware and, of course, their signature green felt. So something that you get on the USA chests is all the premium hardware. You can actually look and just see how well everything is made, the way things are joined, the hardware, how everything's connected, how solid the handles are. It just feels substantial whenever you pick up or use any piece of the hardware on a Gerstner chest. One of the first things you will notice whenever you handle a Gerstner chest in its drawers is how smooth everything fits. And this is because each one of these drawers is individually hand fitted and numbered at the factory, so that when it goes back together, this drawer is perfectly designed to fit into that slot. One thing that you'll notice when you're using any type of Gerstner product, especially one that has the drawer cover, is just how smooth everything falls into place and latches. And you'll notice that the hardware has these little metal inserts which index to these metal tabs, which index to these small metal points here, which allows this to lock and hold that cover in place whenever the lid is closed. Another detail you'll notice when you look at a Gerstner chest compared to other chests on the market is just how perfectly fitted all the felt is inside. It's perfectly cut, it's glued in place, and just looks pristine. And this is designed not only to look good, but also protect your tools. Something that was really exciting when I got a tour of the Gerstner factory was seeing how they actually manufacture this, and that this box is all built as one solid piece, and then the lid is later cut off so that the grain patterns match perfectly when it's put back together. Something that also differentiates the Gerstner USA chest is the classic Gerstner USA logo, which says it's made in Dayton, Ohio. So the next one we're going to look at is the Gerstner International T24D, which the D stands for the new dark oak finish that all Gerstner International boxes come in now. All their chests, all their cases, all their roller cabinets for the International line now come in this signature dark finish with the brown felt. To help explain why Gerstner launched Gerstner International, we have a short video with Kim, the Vice President of Gerstner USA.
Gerstner International is an interesting phenomenon that we have here at Gerstner. It is something that I was pretty passionate about developing, and I would say it was the late 90s when it started to come to our attention that there were cheap knockoffs that were coming in from overseas. They were kind of flooding the market. They were rather poorly done, and we kept getting phone calls of people that had bought one of these copycats, basically, and they were unhappy with the quality. So we kept getting the frequency of these calls coming in more and more. And we kept saying, hey, I'm sorry that you bought that, but we have nothing to do with that. It may look like a Gerstner, but it in fact is not a Gerstner. And we started to look pretty hard at the problem or the question or the opportunity basically that was coming along. And I saw it as an opportunity because here we service the very high end of the market. We service a kind of a high middle as well also, but we had nothing that was on the lower end for people that would desire to own something that looks like a legacy product but just don't quite have the money to put towards it. So I reached out to a couple of people that I knew that had approached us before, and we developed Gerstner International to the point that we have gone over to the factory. We have helped them calibrate the line. We have specifically gone through the quality and what it has to be in the QC process. The factories that are making the Gerstner International items for us, they are designed in the USA and managed in the USA as well. And then they just build to the specifications, and then they come into the United States and we do a secondary inspection on them here also, which is something I don't believe any other import copycat can say. Nobody's got eyes on it here. So effectively, we've been able to sort of control both ends of the market or capitalize on both ends of the market. So now people can have a Gerstner product, whether it be an international or a USA built, and be proud of a product that they have that Gerstner has put out.
So now that you've learned a little bit about Gerstner International, let's see how these stack up to the Gerstner USA chest. Now, first thing you'll notice is that it looks very similar. Obviously, the same designers, the same team is behind the Gerstner International chest. But you'll notice some key differences when you start looking at the hardware, you start looking at the overall finishing, and you start looking at just the way things are built. It's still very well made, but the drawers still are just not as tight and snug as you would find on a Gerstner USA hand-fitted drawer. These are machine-fitted, so they are not as smooth, they are not as ideally designed for each individual slot. They're a little more interchangeable. This is a larger chest, so it has more drawers, but you can actually see that most of these drawers will interchange, where the same is not true on a Gerstner USA chest. Some of the key things you'll notice when you're looking at it, instead of the nice little pin stops, you actually have screws here. You still have the signature Gerstner pin lock that holds this front cover up, but the hardware is just not as highly finished. The overall quality is not the same as the American craftsmanship you get that goes into every single Gerstner chest that's made in Dayton. It's still a very nice box, but it's not quite the same as an heirloom piece that you have with Gerstner USA. So if you are looking for a wooden tool chest, you're looking for a great piece of organizational equipment, Gerstner International is hard to beat for the price. It still has that connection to the historic Gerstner name, gives you a lot of the same function, a lot of the same durability, but not quite the heirloom quality that you get with a Gerstner USA piece. You cannot go on the internet and talk about Gerstner or wooden tool chests, even historic wooden tool chests, without somebody in the comments bringing up that they can get the same thing for a lot less money. And when they're talking about this. This is the Windsor Designs 8-drawer wooden tool chest. And even the term wooden is a little misleading. So one of the things you'll notice as soon as you start handling a Windsor Designs chest is the hardware is by far the lowest quality that you can find. It is very chintzy, it's not finished well. If you notice on the Gerstner International and the Gerstner USA chest, the gussets on the corners are reinforced for these brackets. These are just flat metal. Nothing is finished well on this chest. The other thing you notice immediately when you're looking at it is that these are not solid pieces of wood. Instead, they're joined together pieces that are glued. And we don't even really, I don't even know how much of it's MDF and how much of it's actual wood with a veneer on it. So that's the other thing. It's not really clear what it's made out of or how many pieces of wood went into each one of these pieces. On a Gerstner chest, you have a solid piece of wood with some veneering for appearance, but it's one piece of wood across. It's not multiple pieces stitched together, which calls into question whether this plastic handle, rubberized plastic metal handle, is going to actually handle the weight when you load this chest full of things and try to pick it up. Because again, this wood is all stitched together, and I just don't know that it's going to really hold up to actual tool chest use. Inside, you'll notice that there's not a lot of finish work done on these at all. There's large gouges. Edges are rough and unsanded, unfinished. It does have the mirror in the similar style as both the Gerstner chests, but it's just not quality, and you can tell just by looking at it. And that's very reflective in this price point, but I can't go enough to say that buying this is basically throwing your money away, because it's just not going to hold up to any type of weight. And nowhere is that clearer than when you start looking at the drawers. And these drawers are cardboard MDF, it looks like, with a couple of staples holding it together. So it's not going to hold up to the weight. And again, this isn't even one piece of wood. This is multiple pieces of wood that are joined together to make this side slide. So it's not even going to be one piece of wood all the way through. So the ability to hold weights, I'm calling that into question. So bad. The felt is another thing. It's not a rich, actual heavy-duty felt. It's very thin. It's very lightweight. I don't see it holding up very well in the long term. The other thing you notice when you start looking at the hardware is, instead of an actual channel that this is built with a pivot point in it, this is just a routed out wooden slot that this slides out of. And unlike the Gerstners, which have the pins that hold this in place when you shut the lid, the only way to secure this front end is by locking it. You can see that the felt is just a paper thin lining that isn't even glued in place. I mean, this literally just peels right off. So at the price point of this, roughly around $100, it really calls into question why you wouldn't just buy the international version, which they do have chests that are similar in size to this that are in the $200 to $300 range. So I would definitely be looking for a Gerstner International if I could not go all the way to a Gerstner USA chest. Who is buying these chests? Who's a Gerstner USA chest for? Who's a Gerstner International chest for? And who is a Windsor Design chest for? Now, the Gerstner USA chest that we showed is around $1,695 MSRP. It is an incredible piece of heritage craftsmanship that will literally last 100 years. They have chests that are being returned to the factory for restoration and being restored that have been in service for 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, which is incredible that they've built a product that lasts that long. You know, if you look at a Gerstner USA chest, traditionally they were used for machinists, engineers, mechanics that had them. They did high-level engineering and mechanic model makers, things like that. And while there still are machinists that are using Gerstner chests, there's a whole new group of people that have discovered them, artists, hobbyists, and collectors who really appreciate the quality, the craftsmanship, and the heirloom quality that they can pass this down for generations. So who is Gerstner International for? Now, Gerstner International has a very wide range of chests and cabinets, including roller cabinets. So it's perfect for the everyday hobbyist, the person who wants to actually use these for tools, use these for their artwork, travel with them, and not worry as much about them getting dinged up or scratched from actual everyday use. So honestly, the Windsor Design Chest, I had high hopes for it when I first saw it. When we first received the box and unboxed it, from a distance, at a first quick glance, it's a wooden tool chest. But when you start looking at the details, you start looking at the hardware, you start looking at this single handle on top, there's no side handles, the cardboard that's used for the bottom of the drawers. I just don't think this will hold up to any actual abuse in a garage, in a machine shop, anywhere you'd actually want to use this with any actual weight or tools in it. So unfortunately, I can't recommend purchasing one of these unless it is literally just for firewood. So yeah, the internet is always talking about this chest, and if you look at just subreddits, you look at Facebook, you look at any of the groups, everyone's always talking about how this chest is so much cheaper than Gerstner International or Gerstner USA. And the internet should be talking about this chest, but they should be talking about how this is just a waste of money and not worth investing in. Now, if you were going to pick a chest, which one would you choose? Would you go with a Windsor Designs, a Gerstner International, or a Gerstner USA? Let us know in the comments down below.